Hello and welcome. I am Monaco Daniel, and this is another episode of Mastermind Trading, where we try to simplify some of the most widely celebrated trading concept the best we can. Now, in today's video, we'll be looking at internal and external market structure. I know at some point in time, probably while going through a video on YouTube or while following up with your favorite traders on Telegram or Instagram or literally anywhere, you must have come across the phrase internal structure, external structure, or internal change of character, external change of character, internal break of structure, external break of structure, and then you might get confused, wondering within yourself, what exactly do these internal structure as well as external or major structures mean, as well as how can you differentiate them when looking at your price chart. So guys, that is what we'll be looking at today. And as usual, I'll be doing the best I can to explain this in some of the most basic term, in some of the most simplified term, just to make sure that we all get our head, we all find a way to wrap our head around this. So with that being said, let's dive right into what we have for today. As you most likely already know, in a trending market, there are basically two types of structure you want to look at. There are majorly two types of structure you want to keep, look at or keep an eye on in a trending market. Now, my emphasis is on trending markets because in as much as I know a lot of traders find joy in trading ranging markets where it is a bit easy to buy support, sell resistance, and all of that, I think you get the most gains, you make the most returns on a trade from trading a trend, being able to catch a trend. Most of us, we literally just want to look for ways to get in on a trend as early as we can. So I'm going to base off my explanations today off the assumption that we are looking at a trending market. So first, um, when when you look at your chart and then you are able to identify a trend. Now, there are two things that makes up any trending market. Now, in an uptrend, we want to see structures uh, similar to this, higher highs and higher lows and stuffs like this. Yeah, in an uptrend. Why in a downtrend, you would most likely see stuffs like this, lower lows and lower highs and all of that in a downtrend. Now, in an uptrend, the general market structure in an uptrend is characterized by higher highs and higher lows, while in a downtrend, this is characterized by lower lows and lower highs. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining this because I'm assuming that we all already know this. Or if you don't, I would recommend that you go through the channel, just check through my YouTube channel. You'll find a couple of videos where I either specifically talked about this or where I just eat at this from one point to another. So yeah. Now, an uptrend is characterized by higher highs and higher lows, while a downtrend is characterized by lower lows and lower highs. And this is usually the same across every time frame and every price chart. Yeah, it is the same on a 1 minute chart. On a 1 minute uptrend is characterized by the same higher highs and higher lows. A 5 minute chart, if it is an uptrend, you get to find higher highs and higher lows. It is the same on every time frame. When you go to a much bigger time frame and you are able to identify an uptrend, you find out that this uptrend is defined by highs and lows. If you go to a smaller time frame and you find an uptrend, you discover that this uptrend is defined by highs and lows. The same way, if you go to a bigger time frame and then you are able to identify a downtrend, you will discover that this downtrend is characterized by highs and lows. Why um if you go to much smaller time frame, it is literally the same thing across every time frame. And basically, why it is important to understand the relationship between internal and external structure is that why one of these two concepts basically looks at um, smaller time frame structure in a bigger in a micro or in a major chart. The other basically looks at more like the swing structure, the bigger picture. It basically just looks at the bigger picture. So I would move this here a little bit. Now, coming to look at this is the price chart for euro against Australian dollar on the 1 day chart. Yeah, this is the 1 day chart. Now, by mere looking at this, we could easily say this is an overall downtrend because you can identify uh, clear lower highs and lower lows. Yeah, this is what makes up a downtrend. But if you also look within this trend, since I don't know how familiar you guys are with the phrase, but there's a very common phrase. I like to use it a lot. Um, every trend moves in form of impulse and correction. The fact that we are in an uptrend doesn't just mean prices are going to face up and start going all the way up. Yeah, and we are in a downtrend doesn't just mean prices is going to face down and then nuke all the way down. Regardless of what time frame you want to look at the charts from, prices usually moves in forms of impulse and correction. That's for a LD trend. For every LD trend, you find prices moving in form of impulse followed by a correction. This strong move to the upside followed by a smaller move to the downside and then a stronger move to the upside, a smaller move to the downside. The same thing in a downtrend, a strong move to the downside and then a smaller move to the upside. Now, this doesn't just happen on the bigger time frame like we have right here. Here we have the daily chart and then you can see the strong impulse to the downside, a smaller correction to the upside, a stronger sell to the downside, a smaller correction to the upside, and then all the way till this point. Now it doesn't this doesn't just happen on the daily time frame or the weekly time frame or even the monthly time frame. It happens across literally every time frame. And since when you look at these charts, this price chart represents not just what is currently going on the daily chart. Now, since this doesn't just represent what happens in the market on a particular time frame, because I am of an opinion that market moves inside out, meaning that market turns from smaller time frame into bigger time frame. That is, before we possibly get a correction on a much bigger time frame, you are most likely to start seeing signs of that correction from much smaller time frames. So it first happens on smaller time frame and then begins to turn over on bigger time frame. You begin to see it gradually showing up on 30-minute chart, on your 1 hour chart, and then you find this on the 4 hour chart, and then on the daily chart, and up to much bigger time frame. So market doesn't just turn, it turns inside out from smaller time frame to bigger time frame. And that is where the whole emphasis of internal and external structure comes basically. So without taking much of our time now, internal structure are basically smaller time frame um market structure. Yeah, smaller time frame highs and lows that can be identified in a bigger chart. Yeah, that is internal structure, in my opinion. Yeah. I the emphasis is on in my opinion because there are no standard basis for defining these things. Um trading is basically conceptual. It's trading is just an idea, how it relates to you or how you relate to it. So I'm going to explain this, how I relate to internal and external structure, how I see it. When I hear the phrase internal structure or external structure, what first comes to mind? Yeah. So like I said, internal structures are basically smaller time frame highs and lows that can maybe be identified on a bigger time frame swing chart. So let's take, for example, this is the daily price chart for euro against the Australian dollar. Yeah, right here. And you can see from this that we have this to be the major swing levels, to be the lower highs and lower lows, lower highs and lower lows, and then the same all the way down here. But if you also look closely, since market doesn't just move, it moves in impulse correction across every time frame. You would find out that we have this um lows, this structure down here. There's also this structure down here. And the same thing, if we want to look at this, there is a structure down here. This is an overall uptrend. The structure we have along this side, along this axis right here, looks like a downtrend. Yeah, this looks like a lower high to me and then a lower low over here. So while uh all of this is the swing structure, while all of this is the major or external structure, what happens within the impulse and corrective move right here? Structures forming up along these corrections or along this impulse is what we would ordinarily refer to as internal structure. So, sorry. Um, so I'll try to explain that a bit better from what we have on this price chart right here. Now, we've identified this earlier to be a downtrend, almost likely to be a downtrend. Yeah. On the Yeah. So on the daily charts, which we have right here, we've identified this to be a downtrend. Yeah. But looking within this downtrend, the downtrend is characterized by struck lower lows and lower highs. But looking within this downtrend, you are going to find that prices are not just going all the way like this. Yeah, prices is not just moving in a straight line formation. Prices is going up in this manner and then coming down in this manner. Prices is not just moving in a straight line manner. So if you zooming this out, you begin to identify smaller structures. Now, in as much as this is an overall downtrend, right here you can find this to be um, a lower high, higher high, lower high, higher high. This is a bullish structure sitting right within an bearish structure or bearish trend or whatever it is you want to call it. So right here is where we have that internal structure. All of these market movements, all of these impulses, all of these corrections that happens in between the highs and lows, um, that happens along the highs and lows of a swing trend, of a major trend, of an external trend, whichever you want to call it, is what we would generally refer to as internal structure. So why all of this is the external structure, what we have down here qualifies to be an internal structure. It is the same thing right here. I think I can find higher lows, higher high, higher lows, higher high. And this is an overall downtrend. The same thing along here, if you take this to much smaller time frame, you most likely find something like this on much smaller time frames. Now, so that is basically it with internal and external structure. Yeah. External structures are the major market structures on a particular time frame, while internal structures are these smaller impulse and correction you can find along that major structure. Now, quickly, I would very briefly talk about internal change of character as well as internal break of structure, as well as external change of character or major change of character and major break of structure. Now, I recently made a video explaining the concept of change of break of structure against the concept of change of character. These are literally the same thing in my opinion, except that while a break of structure basically just looks at every point that a high or a low is taken out from an overall structure like this, a change of character doesn't just look at areas where highs and lows are taken out. A change of character looks at break of structures that makes way for the start of a new trend or that shows signs of reversal. Yeah. So it is the same thing with break of structure, internal break of structure, external break of structure, internal break change of character, and external change of character. It's literally the same. Now, internal break of structure and change of characters are literally those break of structures and change of characters that you can find within in between highs and lows of a trend. Now, this is a trend that I have marked up here to be the high and then down here to be the low. Now, but looking within it, for sure we can find break of structures as well as change of character in these points. Just a minute. So we have up here to be high and down here to be a low in this overall downtrend. Now, if I'm going to look at this structure, these internal structures that we have positioned around here, I would say I'll mark this very point right here to be my change of character. Yeah, I'll mark here to be my change of character because before this point we can see the structures. I'm trying not to just move to a much smaller time frame so that it all don't get very complicated. Yeah, but we'll look at it how it is from this current time frame and try to understand it the best we can. Now, from what we are seeing right along this point right here, you can obviously see that this was building up for an uptrend, and then we got this structure low got broken, and then the whole thing just reverses into a downtrend. The same way, if you also want to look at it from this point up here, you might want to see this. You might want to look at this as well to be the major change of character. Yeah, I would look at this to be the major change of character because this is kind of like the whole change of character for this swing trend, for this downtrend right here, this point. Now,
This is the change of character for this smaller uptrend within a downtrend. This is the change of character for the overall downtrend into an uptrend. Yeah. So an internal change of character or an internal break of structure are the same as your regular change of character and your regular break of structure, except that wherever you hear the word internal, you should know that we are looking at what happened on a smaller time frame with respect to the bigger trend in mind. This is the bigger trend. This is a smaller time frame movement. So we are looking at smaller structures within a bigger trend. Whenever you hear the word internal structure or internal break of structure, internal anything on a price chart, basically just looks at what happens on a smaller time frame as against the bigger time frame or as against the bigger picture. Why the major change of character or external change of character, external structure, whatever it is you want to call it, basically just looks at um what happens on the overall time frame. So guys, I hope this video have helped you in a way or two in understanding the concepts behind internal and external market structure. I would really appreciate it if you leave a comment below. If there are questions that you possibly need answers to, just drop your questions, drop your contributions in the comment box below. I'll personally be making out time to attend to every comment in the comment section. Once again, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Enjoy the rest of your day.